Join me and give a new Covenant House welcome to Casey and Meygan. Casey is going to preach first and his wife Meygan. When I say fasten your seatbelts and hold on tight, I know what I'm talking about. Amen. Casey is going to teach, and then there'll be time for them to just do Q&A with us and just talk with us. You ready? If you're ready, say I'm ready. All right, let's go.
Yes, I love it. Okay, are you going to come up in just a little bit? Okay, awesome. Now, I am used to speaking on stage with my wife, so every once in a while, if I turn here and I look blankly, see somebody missing, and I go, a little bit of panic, that's what's happening. Man, I'm going to just tell you, I had to take some deep breaths and come down from such an energetic worship. And I got to tell you, my church is boring compared to yours. Okay? There's something where apparently in my church we've disconnected the heart from the worship. And all I just sat there going is, my team won! That's right? I love it. It's so good. Okay, anyways, well, listen, and as you can probably tell, I am a very passionate person. So when I'm sitting in worship in my church, everyone's kind of like this, and I'm like, whoever was over here doing the dance, that was me. I'm like, yeah, let's go, come on. But then I would look awkward because I'd be the only one dancing, and so I have to kind of keep it into myself, like, let's go. Anyways, let me just tell you something. I was deeply moved by just the courage of the couples and even the singles leaning into really difficult topics, dealing with insecurities, learning how to repair relationships, and even understanding how expectations in relationships can really create disconnection. And Meygan and I, quick story is we got married because we really liked each other, and it was a lot of fun. But by year 3, we actually hated each other. And it was very palpable. The screaming matches, the fighting, the unforgiveness, the bitterness, the anger that came out was so great that we just looked at each other and we said, it's done. We are done. And no one would have blamed us from walking away. My mom's been married 6 times. Yeah, she's not a celebrity, okay, just so you know. Just don't look her up, okay? But between both sets of our parents, there's actually 12 marriages. It's littered with affairs, mental illness, narcissism, bipolar, borderline. It's the whole thing. And no one would have blamed us from walking away. But Meygan made a courageous choice to get the help that she needed. And I refused to get the help that I needed because I have all the answers. I was full of myself. I was full of pride and ego. And as I watched my wife change for the better, it was very easy to see who was the unhealthy spouse. It was totally her. No, it was me. It was very much so me. And as we started to turn our marriage around, God called us and really said, I want you to speak into marriages. And we just sat there and laughing like, you've got the wrong couple. We're like the messiest, worst. In a lot of ways, we're the least likely to succeed in marriage. And yet, does God not choose the foolish things to confound the wise? And so I walk up here on the stage trembling, respectful of this position that God has pulled me into. It is not cavalier. It is something I humbly accept and appreciate from the New Covenant House and the leadership of this church wanting to see this community marked by wisdom, by discernment, that we would operate our lives as wise disciples of Jesus. Now, let me tell you, growing up, I went to 9 different schools before I hit junior high. So if you do some math, I kind of had to go halfway on a couple of those schools because at the end of the year, I was so energetic and so passionate, as they would say, that my teachers would sit down with my parents and say, maybe this isn't a good learning environment for a child with such vigor. So words that you would call me energetic, impulsive, forgetful, bouncing off the walls. I was the kid you couldn't feed sugar to. So no one would have ever labeled me as, that kid right there is wise, discerning. That kid right there is prudent and disciplined. That's like the anti of what you would describe me. Which is why today I want to bring to you a message from one of the books that is the most important in my life. And that is the book of Proverbs. The book of Proverbs, as we've started to lean into marriage topics, we realize this is the book for marriage. The book of Proverbs is the book for marriage. And I cannot think of any other book in the Bible that gives us the most practical how-tos, the most, here's what you need to do next in order to move from a place of foolishness to wisdom. And really what I want to bring to you today is these two postures that the book of Proverbs asks. It says, if you want to understand and you want to know what God's will for your life is, to how to live successfully in the land that I've created, two postures, hungry and humble. You come to me hungry. You come to me humble. In the book of Proverbs, let me just give you a quick primer because this is a really powerful book. And don't underestimate it. In the book of Proverbs, we are given the Creator's laws of nature. This is God explaining to us, this is the way I've created this earth. And if you follow my laws, if you follow my guidance, you will experience great joy, connection, rewards. You will live the good life that the Creator has created for all of us. It's like gravity, right? Gravity is a law of nature. Now, you can try to defy it, but you will never break it. Amen? And it is not subject to your opinions or feelings. Understand that. It's not subject to your opinions or feelings. You can't sit there and go, yeah, gravity, I don't really believe in it. It's true. It's real. So in one of my many jobs, as some of you guys learned, I had about 30 jobs before I started Marriage 365 in 10 years. Yeah, just going to go there. I was a high school chemistry teacher. No joke. I don't know how God put me in there. And one thing I learned is you do not mix chemicals with rambunctious teenagers. It is not a good thing, okay? Anyways, all over my room, I plastered these blueprints. And I would tell the kids, I'd say, hey, listen, chemistry is like understanding the blueprints of life. We got some blueprints coming up. I said, look at you. When you look at that, that's a house. But it's not the house. It's understanding the structure behind what is holding up the house. What is going on? What are the wirings? Everything's going on there, okay? And the same too, Proverbs is giving us insight into the atomic structure of how God created this world. Proverbs 3:19 says this, by wisdom the Lord laid the earth's foundations. By what? Thank you. By understanding, he set the heavens in place. By wisdom, he created the foundations of this planet. Now, quick primer, because this is really important. The book of Proverbs, anybody know who wrote the book of Proverbs? Okay, it's okay. Solomon, right? Now, anybody know who Solomon's daddy was? David, right? David is a man after God's heart, right? Does anybody remember who Solomon's mommy is? Oh, now we're getting into trouble, right? You kind of all know what happened there, right? So imagine Solomon being raised by a man after God's own heart and his adulterous wife. And David is, I am assuming, extending his wisdom and his regret and understanding to his son, saying, Solomon, don't make my same mistakes. Please, son. And then one day, in a dream, God approaches Solomon and says, Solomon, my son, ask anything, and what would it be? And he doesn't say a BMW. He does not say the fancy handbags. Sorry, that's an inside joke if you were here. I almost got bum rushed out the stage because I talked about the handbags. So, He says this. What does he ask for? Wisdom. He understands. This is long life. Now, I want to say something about that. Because I sat there and I went, man, Solomon, the wisest man to ever live. And guess what? He created his own self-inflicted chaos in his own life. The wisest man. It reminds me, James says, do not just be hearers of the word, but doers. Yes, I love this. Come on, you guys know Scripture. I love it. I love it. Sunday morning, this isn't just power up for the week. This is a discipline. This is our act of worship to God, both in song, but also to receive his wisdom as an act of worship. In the first 9 chapters, we get this beautiful picture of all these like blessings for someone who's walking in wisdom. There's no fear of harm. There's blessings to that person. Proverbs 3:13-16 says this. Blessed are those who find wisdom, who gain understanding. For she is more profitable than gold. She's more precious than rubies. Nothing you desire can compare to her. Nothing. Not the G7, not the mansion, nothing can compare to her. Long life is in her right hand. Which way? I don't know, my left or my right. But in her left hand are riches and honor. Now I want you to know, this book also comes with warnings that if you try to oppose God's laws, you will face the consequences. This was some of I made a quick list, but get ready for this. These are the things you don't want, okay? Sleepless nights, anxiety and depression, insecurities, lack of grounding. You're carried away by lies, removed from the land, and ultimately your children will walk away from you. I want us to just pick up our heads for a second. Is this not the world we're living in right now in society? Is this not even happening inside the capital C church, that we are seeing people carried away by lies because they're not grounded in wisdom? We live in a postmodern culture. And I've heard that before, and I was like, I have to understand, what does it mean that we live in a postmodern culture? And I want to give you these 2 definitions. Now listen to this very carefully. Postmodern culture rejects the certainty of knowledge. Think about what you see on social media, what you hear in the news, what's happening in politics. Postmodernism rejects the certainty of knowledge. Gravity, I don't believe in it. It's not happening. You ready for this? But it focuses on the relative truth found in each of us. Guess what? That's my truth. It's choose your own adventure. It's Casey's adventure. You guys are all just actors in my play. Or, I don't know, the other way around. It is all about me. We live in a me culture. And whatever I feel, I get to act on. Now, this is where I'm going to get, maybe get canceled, but that's all right. What you feel is good to you, and we should all accept it. We should have tolerance of whatever you feel like. There's no boundaries now, right? Tolerance, no boundaries. Hey, if you're a dude and you like another dude, hey, you feel it, go for it. If you're a dude and you want to be a girl, hey, go for it. We should just tolerate it. And we are being carried away by lies culturally. And it is breaking God's heart. It's now come where common sense is so rare in our culture. Can I get an amen? Where people are just like, when we do Marriage 365, when we tell people, you should use kind words to your spouse. Do you know what people say? Really? Wait, what? Like, come on. Exactly. So, this is why we must cling to God's wisdom, which transcends time, culture, race, economics. No matter what you feel, God's word stands the test of time. It established the foundations of the earth, and it will stand the test of time long after we're gone and long after our feelings have come and gone. So let's get into it. Hungry and humble. Hungry. This is the posture that God wants us to come and to receive his wisdom and his instructions is hungry. When I say hungry, I'm talking about this driving desire to quench a need. Now, my wife, God bless her, she loves challenges. We would do these fitness challenges. We did this like liver detox thing one time. But I'll never forget when she put me on the Whole30. Any victims out there? Whole30? Bless. Anybody else? I see the hand. God bless you. Yeah, there you go. Okay. There's special crowns in heaven for us, Whole30s. Okay. This is where you eliminate all sugar. And like you have to eat yams. And just like, anyways, 20 days in, I am not getting the nutrition I need. And I go into a grand mal, adult temper tantrum in the kitchen. I take my yam and I spike it on the floor. And I'm like, I'm hungry. So what we learned is this. Casey, when he fasts, everybody else hides. Fasting is very dangerous for my marriage. But what Proverbs is asking us, what God is saying is, I want you to come hungry. Search me out. Like, I need this to be like your Indiana Jones, like, passion and pursuit for this buried treasure. Find it and make it your one consuming passion. Am I hungry for God's wisdom in my life? David knew exactly what it meant to be hungry for God. In Psalm 63:1, he says this. Think about this. My soul, its soul thirsts for you. My flesh yearns for you. Now, again, I could say it like me, but I wanted to say it like this church would do it. My soul thirsts for you, right? My flesh yearns for you. In a dry and weary land where there's no water, I am hungry for that. In one of the most beautiful Psalms, Psalms 42, David says this, as the deer pants for the streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God. My soul thirsts for God. Are you thirsty, my friend? The living God, where can I go and meet with God? Where am I going to? I want to go. Jesus even taught in the Beatitudes, right? Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. He even said this, I am the bread of life. Receive me, right? Whoever comes to me shall not be hungry. I will satisfy you, but you must come hungry. And let me just say something real quick. So I'm a foodie, okay? And mainly because I love my wife. She has many talents, but the kitchen is definitely not her strong suit. And she admits it. She admits it from stage, so I'm not dissing her. And maybe out of that, like when someone prepares me a meal, it's like the greatest love language ever given to me. I mean, and now I'm a foodie. So whenever the Bible starts talking about food, I'm like, excuse me, what? We're doing what? So can I just tell you this? This is getting me so excited. Do you realize that the moment you pass from this earth, do you know what we're kicking off? A 7-year feast. A 7-year feast. Come on. Barbecue ribs, bacon, all you can eat. Come on. I'm going to walk into heaven. I'm going to smell that mesquite smoke, and I'm going to be like, oh, I'm in heaven now. Maybe like when going to Pecan Lodge later on? No? Okay. Smell of barbecue. Okay, I'm going to get off that one because that one's obviously my passion point. Here's what I want to say. Are you hungry for God's kingdom? What lengths are you willing to go to seek knowledge? Now, let me talk about marriage, okay? Now, marriage. Do you remember God's kingdom, first of all, is wrapped up in this image of marriage, right? And inside of marriage, it's this beautiful picture of God's love for his church. In Ephesians 5:32, we talked about how Paul was talking about marriage, and he said, it's a profound mystery, and I talk about Christ and his love for church. in the picture of marriage. So when we talk about hungry, I want to talk about what does it mean to be hungry in the relationships. And if you're not married, that's fine. Think about your relationships you have in this life, okay? When I think about the first couple months when someone's dating somebody, have you seen that before? It's crazy, man. They are on the love drug. They're just on the prowl, like, I'm gonna try to find where they're at. And then my favorite is, oh, did we just bump into each other? Just happened to be here. Oh my gosh. You know it's not the truth, okay? And I think about healthy marriage. I see spouses that have a hunger to learn more about each other. They ask open-ended questions to dig out new information. They're inquisitive, and there's this drive, I want to know more about you. There's a hunger for that. There's energy that's put into it. There's people that show up for marriage conferences. They learn, they grow, they do date nights. They are hungry for each other. The opposite is true too. There are a lot of spouses out there in unhealthy and dying marriages. We see them every day where they just kind of go, meh. It's not good. It's not bad. It's like they walked out a hometown buffet and they just rub it in their belly. They're like, I'm satisfied. And I would say, what kind of message does that send to a spouse, to the other person who's receiving that? I'm not hungry for you anymore. Ouch is right. I ask, hungry and humble goes for God's kingdom. Hungry and humble goes for marriage because it's a picture of his kingdom. And so the hardest thing for me that I watch is people that are hungry for God and not hungry for their spouse. They're hungry for God's kingdom. They want to know, hey, worship, prayer, let's do it. But when it comes to their marriage, I'm good. I'm satisfied. I don't need to learn anything. I'm good. I'm not hungry anymore. Married folks, are you hungry for your marriage? Maybe this is a place where God would speak to you and say, I want you to be hungry. I want you to love your spouse as I have loved you. And I did not say I was satisfied with just 10% of you. I did not say I was satisfied with 50% of you. I want how much? 100% of you. God wants total, complete abandonment to him. And yet in marriage, we walk up and we go, I'll give you 35%? That's good. Okay. Let's talk about humble. I'm all hungry now. You guys hungry? Ready for lunch. All right, humble. If there's a hunger to find wisdom and discernment and knowledge, where do we start? Where do we start this journey? Well, in Proverbs it says, 15:33 says, the fear of the Lord is the instruction of wisdom, and before honor is humility. Now, the fear of the Lord could be a whole message we could go into, but let me just paint this picture for you, because I sat with this on the plane here as I was praying about, God, what do you want to say this morning? What is it that you want to speak? And I was overwhelmed to tears with the understanding, and I have to be careful because I get spicy eyes real easily. It's okay. Can I cry in the pulpit? Is it okay? Okay. If I have to go, I'll just do that. Okay, off the street. The fear of the Lord refers to a reverence and respecting, but there's also this healthy amount of fear and trembling. The fear of the Lord. Do you dare defy God's laws of nature? You are going against this massive God that we sang about in worship. Everyone, you are a singing church, by the way. Everyone was singing. Our God is greater. Our God is awesome. It's higher and above beyond everything else. He spans the universe in the palm of his hands. I can barely grasp a basketball. Okay? He is massive. And our proper response is fear and trembling. Not, I'm afraid, but I recognize my position, that I am in a humbled posture to recognize, God, you are so much greater. You have brought the victory, not me. Not any of us. Not any of us. Nothing that we have done deserves righteousness that he has given to us. He has done it all. And when you talk about the Old Testament prophets prophesying against Israel, saying, how dare you? He has given you everything, and you defy him. You've walked away from your first love. And it's a heart posture that recognizes, you know what? I am not the center of the universe. And Proverbs is so clear about this quality. A humble heart is one that receives instruction. Doesn't say, you know what, I've got it. I'm good. And sadly, like Solomon, right? He received it. And then at a certain point he said, sounds good, I'm going to still go this direction. And he reaped those rewards. He reaped the whirlwind of sin and destruction. The opposite of a humble heart is one that is unwilling to receive, considers itself the smartest in the room. Men, doesn't need directions, doesn't need help, doesn't need to learn anything more. Hey, that marriage retreat, I'm good. We're good. I'm fine. Sorry. Proverbs 1:23 said, if you had responded to my rebuke, I would have poured out my heart to you and made my thoughts known to you. Can I read that just one more time? Wisdom is saying, if you had responded to my rebuke, my instructions, I would have poured out my heart to you and made my thoughts known to you. How many of you here today want to know God's heart? Want to know his thoughts? That your life would be marked by something that is so unique and so beautiful in a world that has lost its way. It starts with a humble heart. Of course, Jesus talks about this so many times, right? To the rich young ruler, go sell everything you have. Come on, it's nothing. Come follow me. Deny yourself, take up the cross. He spoke out against the pride of the Pharisees. Here's 3 amazing proverbs about humility I want to read. Proverbs 3:34. Read with me. He mocks proud mockers, but shows favor to the humble and the oppressed. Now hold on real quick before we move to the next one. He mocks proud mockers. So I'm sure this is the picture I had. It was like a comedy bit, but I was just like, okay, this is what must happen. Is someone sitting there going, I know everything. And God's sitting up in heaven, I know everything. Yeah, you don't. But he's mocking him. I mean, he literally mocks proud mockers, right? The next one, Proverbs 11:12. Read with me because this is powerful. When pride comes, then comes disgrace, but with humility comes wisdom. And the next one, Proverbs 22:4. The reward for humility and the fear of the Lord is riches and honor and life. Now, I know without humility, seeking riches, honor, and life is futile. Can I get an amen? Amen. But with humility, which says, I have nothing, God does bring in everything. But it does not own you. That's the difference. It's not sinful to have riches and power and long life. But does it own you? That's the proud heart. The humble heart says, I am just but a faithful steward of what God has given to me. Now let's talk about this in marriage. This right here is such an important quality to have inside of marriage. As we said, I talked about in Ephesians, Paul says, husbands, well, hold on real quick. In Ephesians, whenever I get to talk about this, Ephesians 5, they go, oh, yeah, I remember that verse. It's wives, submit to your husbands. That's like the first one they ramble off. That's like, and then they stopped memorizing the passage after that. I'm like, gentlemen, come on. What does he say next? Does anybody remember? As? And how did Christ love his church? He died for them. So I want to just say, I think the women got off a lot easier than the men. Am I right? But of course, all the guys now, well, we know this part of the passage. Well, forget about that passage. But what he's saying is, both of you submit, lay down your life in humility. In humility. Now, I'm going to say this. I think I'm really good at pursuing my wife. I think that Marriage 365 has instructed me on how to do my marriage well. But when she tells me what I've done wrong or how I misspoke or hurt her, oh, man, that's where the rubber meets the road. And to accept that, like, wow, I hurt you. Because my ego wants to say, that wasn't me. I didn't do that. You're crazy. But humility says, I will receive. I will receive that. I want to know. I'm hungry. I want to know more about you. And I will receive that. Humility lays down the pride and accepts that it makes mistakes and is willing to do the work to restore connection and build trust. Whew, that's a big sentence. Humility is willing to do the work to repair relationships, which we learned yesterday. Humility, don't laugh, Megan, is considerate. I'm working on being considerate because I am not a considerate person. I will be the first to admit I'm not considerate. Oh, man, this one's tough too. Humility is taking responsibility and accountability for our actions. Oh, man, this sucks. It hurts. We all have ego. We all have pride. But humility lays that down in a big way. It reminded me of 1 Corinthians 13 because when I started thinking about a humble heart, this is what 1 Corinthians says, and I put the word humility in there. How about this? Ready? Humility is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Humility does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. Let's talk about the opposite. Proud spouses never admit their mistakes because it hits too close to home for them. Here comes some more. Here comes the hurt. Proud spouses never learn anything new about their relationships. Never show up for marriage conference because they're already the expert. I eat, breathe, sleep this every single day, and I am not an expert. I'm a practitioner. No one's an expert. Proud spouses never apologize. You know why? They're not wrong. Ever. They're never wrong. Proud spouses never take accountability for their actions because it's never their fault. And in marriage, I just want to bring us back in conclusion to say, hungry and humble. That is the on-ramp in understanding God's wisdom and receiving ourselves, moving from a place of foolishness to a place of wisdom. And I got to tell you, I had to evaluate my own performance. Am I hungry? Am I humble? See, my wife doesn't even like my message anymore. She's like, I'm done with this guy. I just want to say this, I'm going to read this because it's very hard to admit. I had to evaluate my own performance. Am I hungry and am I humble? Frankly, no, I'm not. I see a lack of desire to pursue God like I should. And I'm pretty proud. I don't like to get confronted, and I realize that I've been making decisions based off of what makes me happy. And then that just makes me sick. I'd rather check out at night than deal with conflict. I definitely don't want to apologize when I did something wrong. I escape from my responsibilities because I just want to have fun. That's hard. When you're confronted with the truth of Scripture, it's a hard look at yourself. So I want to leave you with a challenge. The book of Proverbs is a book that I have poured myself into for many, many years, and I'm starting to see the fruits of it starting. It's not there. You know, the book of Proverbs is broken up into 31 chapters. And what's beautiful is, sure, I miss a couple days of scripture reading. But when I get back in, the first book I open up is the book of Proverbs. Today's the 4th, and I'm going to read chapter 4. And any day of the calendar, just open it up. And I will tell you, it is a beautiful thing to watch the fruits of God's laws and understanding God's laws direct your path towards long life, towards riches, towards happiness and joy. Would you join me in praying? Oof, I'm going to take a knee. Father God, we humbly present ourselves to you. You are awesome. You are great. And you have formed the foundations of this planet with your wisdom. And yet, you give us direct access into the office hours with the professor, willing to disciple us, to train us up in wisdom in your ways. And they are good ways. They are not meant to harm us. They're meant to give us long life and joy in your presence. God, would you give us the hunger, the drive to want to know more about you? Would you give us the humility to receive it and allow our family to be the first fruits, the first recipients of this changed heart? Don't let us go quietly into the night. Convict our hearts. Tell us, God, and be plain with us. And it is in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit we all pronounce a joyful amen. Speaking of instructions, they didn't really give me much after this, so. Okay. Come on up.
Was that the signal?
Yeah.
He was supposed to signal me when he's ready for me to come up. So we should have practiced what the exact signal was. All right. I know this is a bit unusual for us, but we just felt like we wanted to tap as much of what Casey and Meygan have as we possibly could. And Friday, Saturday, we just got so many questions that we thought we really need to just give a chance for people to ask their one-on-ones. You know, the thing about teaching is people don't get a chance to clarify some stuff or to get like the extra help that they need to actually practice those things. We want to make sure you have not just the tools, not just the information, but practical. How, if there's something that's going to stop you or a problem, what do I do about that? So we have Casey and Meygan for the next 30 minutes to ask our questions. We're going to have a QR code come up in a moment for something called the Heart Slides. It's a way where you can type in your questions so we can get that in real quick. And I just want to promise you we're going to do the best we can to get through as many questions as possible. But just in case there's some of them that we don't get to, PF and I are going to keep doing the work to ask some of those questions. I'll share a little bit about this at the end, but Meygan and Casey also have an app and a membership where you can join, you know, I think it's like a year at a time. Or is,
monthly or you pay yearly?
Okay, you can do monthly or yearly, where there are chat rooms where you can actually join them and bring your questions. They have all their resources on there. We'll share a little bit more about how to get that, but I'm just going to have you scan that QR code right now. Let me move so I'm not blocking you. And just let's get right into the questions because we have just 30 minutes. Amen? You good?
Yeah, we're good. We just needed the mic. There you go. Is that right? Here.
Give me a microphone.
Hi, everybody. All right.
Am I growing considerate? Am I becoming more considerate?
So the reason why I was laughing about that is because he 2 weeks ago said he thinks he's a very. Ooh, there you go. Look at that.
What happened? Oh boy.
Oh boy. Let's start off with a big question here.
Wow.
Okay.
Wait. Finish your story though, real quick, and then we'll get to it.
Okay. Well, 2 weeks ago, I said, do you think you're a considerate person? And he says, I think I'm a very considerate person. And then a couple incidences happened where he definitely was not a considerate person. And so after that, I was like, are you considerate? He's like, yeah, I think I'm evaluating. I don't think I actually am.
So to whoever typed that, thanks for the lowball question just to get us started. It's kind of like, it feels like, all right, let's talk about communication.
Well, first I want to say that infidelity is actually, in Proverbs, there's 3 chapters dedicated to affairs, just FYI. So it's Proverbs 5, 6, and 7, if I'm correct. Yeah. Wow, they're powerful. So about somewhere between 30 and 50% of couples will experience infidelity. That's a lot, right? I know it's we don't have the exact amount because some people don't ever talk about it, but it's estimated that's about the average. And we believe affair recovery is beautiful. It's the most humbling and amazing thing. We've walked many couples through it. But here's the thing, you have to have 2 willing people. If the person who betrayed the marriage isn't hungry and humble, it's not going to happen. If the person who was betrayed isn't hungry and humble, it's not going to happen. It takes a lot of time, patience. Most couples, I don't think I've met one where they've ever done it on their own. You usually need a third party. We've got resources. We've got coaching. Go see a therapist. Work with a pastor. But you have to have a plan. This is really important. So is it possible? Yes. Can it be worked through? Yes. Most couples, especially with children, do choose to overcome it. But you've got to have a plan. So
let me talk to you. Affairs, we work with a lot of affair recovery. And affairs are templated, meaning they're the exact same thing. So somebody could start telling me their story of how they got themselves in. I might be like, tell you what, let me finish your story. And they're like, how'd you know? Affairs, well, let me back up. God created us to be connected. That is something he put inside of our hearts. We long for connection. And so when couples get married, they think, well, now we're connected. And what happens is they don't do the work of maintaining their relationship. And slowly they move from like here to more like here, roommates. They're co-parenting. They're doing their own things. They're selfish. They're proud. And they're not willing to come back and heal the wounds and just give it enough time and distance. And now you're like over here and you're feeling lonely. And then you go to work and this coworker comes up to you and says, oh, it's so good to see you. How was your weekend, by the way?
And that feels good because your spouse hasn't asked you about how your weekend was or hasn't checked in with you.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you do a work project together and they compliment you.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, that was a really good job. And you're like, I think my spouse hasn't complimented me in 2 years. And that's how it actually starts. It's not like someone wakes up that day and says, I'm going to go cheat on my spouse.
Rarely.
Very rarely
is
that the case. Let me just be very clear. I'm talking, this is science. 95% of the time, that's what happens. It's gradual. Then, of course, it kind of turns into an emotional affair. Emotional affairs, a lot of people get defensive because they're like, we're just talking. We're just friends. The problem is you're talking to somebody else. You're not talking to your wife or you're not talking to your husband. And that's the breeding ground for that. And if you're already lonely and there's broken trust and there's fighting, right? This person makes me feel good. My spouse does not make me feel good when I'm at home. And we go where we're winning. We go where we feel good.
And let me just say something so a lot of affair recovery couples are kind of considering divorce. And I don't know, in a room this size, I know there's some secret hurts. Maybe some of you even have a divorce lawyer's number and you're working out papers. But nobody knows about it. When we walk couples through this process, I will tell you, divorce is trauma. Divorce is trauma. And I know that very well. Meygan and I are both products of divorced homes. And when you consider the complications that a divorce creates, it is so much harder. And if you're a blended family here, no shame. Second marriage, that's fine. Whatever. No shame in that. But you know exactly how complicated life is. And most divorcees say, I regret that I did not put the work it took to make my marriage work. So, let me speak courage and hope for those that are hopeless. It can be done. God made a way. Hungry and humble are your two postures. And even in affair recovery, when couples come out on the other side, they are actually stronger than most marriages because they recognize, oh my gosh, we broke our marriage. It is that fragile. We are never going to go back to that place again. We are going to do the work that it takes to maintain a strong connection. And it's a beautiful thing. So
we do have an online affair recovery course for those of you who can't work with a coach or a therapist because I know it's expensive. And it's very affordable. All right. Ooh. How do you prepare yourself to be a partner?
Oh, this is like the premarital.
How many of you were the singles yesterday?
Whoop, whoop. Wait, hold on. Where's my singles at?
Come on.
Do you guys know what we did? If you're a single dude here and you did not show up for yesterday, wow, did you miss? Big time. Big time. Right, guys? Yeah. All right, so we did a speed dating round, and it was so much fun. Oh, my gosh. It was great because we were asking really good, tough questions. And I want to say, how do you prepare yourself to be a partner? It's by asking open-ended questions. It's asking the tough questions.
I was going to say, our tagline at Marriage 365 is, if you want to make a better marriage, make a better you. Yeah. If you want to be a healthy person, make a healthy you. If you want a healthy relationship, make a healthy you. It has to start with you, right? Who do you have control over? You. Do you have control over anybody else? You can try it. Has anyone ever tried? I've tried.
You've tried.
I tried.
You've tried.
I try to control him. I got control issues. I like to call myself a recovering control freak. I'm working on it. I'm in process. But I tried. I manipulated. I withheld love. I just smothered. I did anything I could, and I learned, I can't control my husband. So when I was able to go, wow, really is just me showing up healthy. That's the best gift you can give when you're single, even when you're dating, is become the healthiest version of yourself.
That means processing childhood wounds, understanding who you are, your strengths and weaknesses,
your triggers,
self-awareness.
Creating healthy habits. Yeah.
Or showing up for the singles speed dating night.
Heck yeah. Yes.
Just saying.
There were some gorgeous ladies last night. These men are lucky men. Just saying.
Okay, here we go. Well, since I don't know Matthew 19:10 through 12 off the top of my head.
I don't know the whole Bible by heart. I know lots of verses by heart.
And how do you know if you are not promised marriage? I'm going to assume that means there's probably...
Does anyone want to read it out loud?
Somebody want to punch that up on the screen? Okay, maybe the next one. But, okay, how do you know if you're not promised marriage?
Well, I would love someone to read scripture out loud. Let's do it. We're in church. Anyone brave enough to stand up and read it? Oh, right here. Beautiful. Oh, look at that. Thank you for reading.
Well, I will tell you right now, I'm not a theologian. I teach people how to apologize. And I wouldn't have much to say other than I do know that God's created us for connection. He has marriage as this beautiful picture. That is a sacrament where God is uniquely active. And there are certain people that I do know He's called to singleness. And these people are wonderful gifts. They serve the community well. They have a very specific calling. Now, I will tell you, if you are someone who longs for marriage, that is a longing that God knows well in your heart. And He is a good, good Father. Amen? Amen? And so we don't know what the journey looks like. If you're 30s and singles, 40s and singles, 50s and singles, you have no idea what that journey looks like. I officiate weddings. I don't know if this is like a other known fact. It was like a side gig. So I've officiated over...
Remember those 30 jobs? That was one of them. No, he still does it, but he's officiated over 1,000 weddings. That's pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
He loves it. He loves love, as if you can't tell. Yes. He loves love.
I don't know what that
he
was,
also
but-
loves making love. I wanted to make sure all the online people are paying attention right now, and I just woke all of them up.
Is it hot in here? Anyways.
Is that why you asked for an extended checkout this afternoon at our hotel?
Submit. Anyways, where was I? I've officiated weddings, and it's really cool to hear the stories and the journeys that people take to find each other. And so just know that God may have called you, and those people that God had not called to marry, they know that. So.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Moving on.
Yep.
But I'm not a theologian, so. Ooh. Interdependence. This is what we talked about. But you're an independent.
A brief scale of one more time for those who weren't there yesterday.
Okay, so we talk about a neediness scale. 0 being independent. I don't need anybody. 10 being codependent, meaning I need you so much. You need to call me all the time. Are you happy? Then I'm happy. Are you sad? Then I'm sad. What's going on? How do I make you happy? And these people are codependent. And where you want to move is, if it's 0 to 10, you want to be right there in that 5, right? You want to be interdependent, where you don't consume each other. You know how to generate your own happiness, but also you're not independent, where you don't ever check in with each other and you just do your own thing.
Well, the 2 greatest commandments are love God, love others. Those are both relational. So God knew that he wanted us to actually have people in our lives, right? I mean, he wouldn't have made those the top commandment. So it's very interesting. That's why we're so passionate about relational and emotional health, because the 2 greatest commandments are those things.
So the question was, how do you move towards interdependence?
Yeah, I mean, I would say
That'd be more you, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle. I mean, yesterday we shared he's more on the codependent side. I'm more on the independent. Like, I don't need anyone to tell me anything. And I've just realized, actually, some of I would say my biggest struggles in life is when I realized how much I need God, and how much it's really good to rely on people, and how much community matters in life. Like, you guys are so blessed to have a community. There's a lot of really lonely people who do not have people.
A lot of lonely people.
Yeah, and so I think reminding yourself that, it's okay that you don't have it all together. There's no award you're gonna get for being independent, by the way. And I actually think that we all have spiritual gifts in this room, correct? A lot of people's spiritual gift is helping other people who need the help. And that helping looks a variety of ways. And so I think just actually learning to receive help and be okay with that doesn't make you weak. It makes you human.
Ooh, we got therapist MFT in the house. Ooh.
How do you handle partners who want the other person to be hungry and humble first? Okay, so there's no first, sorry. I would love, in an ideal world, right, both spouses would be like, oh, we both have, we're both going to own our parts. We always say, even as your marriage and family therapist, you know this, it's usually one person kind of leading. And in our marriage, it's taken turns. I mean, there's been seasons where I've been the one that was struggling and Casey was picking me up. They say marriage is 50-50. I hate that, because it's actually not accurate. There are days where marriage is actually more like 80-20, or if you've got the flu, you're not able to give 100%. You're not even able to give 50%. So I think it's one of those things, it's good to say, I really want you to be hungry and humble, but I believe modeling that. If you're hungry and humble and you model it, the hope would be that the spouse would see that.
Yeah, I see a heart that says, well, you need to change first.
Yeah.
Before I do. And I will tell you this, having done this enough, rarely do both spouses go, we need help for our marriage.
Yeah.
It's one person saying, we need help, and the other one's still in denial, which is our story. Meygan got help first. I didn't. So that's why we would say, if you want to make a better marriage, let's see if you make a better you. So why don't you repeat after me, because this is really important. If you want to make a better marriage,
make better marriage,
make a better you.
Make a better you.
That's right.
So I hear that, to apologize and make amends before they do. It feels really good when your spouse is the first one to apologize, correct? You're like, yeah. Okay, but hopefully over time they'll learn that or realize, wow, I'm always the last one to apologize. And if they're a believer, they have to stand before God someday and be accountable to that. And I don't know about you, but I will tell you, I don't want to be the last to apologize, and I don't want to be the last of anything like that. I want to be the first to come humble and say, I'm messy, I'm imperfect. It'd be like, in Catholic Church, there's confession. You don't want to be the last in line, like, okay, fine, I'll confess. It's the people who are like, I have confession, Like, that's what we should all strive for.
Someone's all, oh boy, Ephesians 5. Here we go. Hey, all right.
I mean, how many of you...
Does this ultimately mean that the husband is expected to give more in the marriage bed? Is that what it's supposed to say? The marriage bed?
It didn't finish.
Did you not finish it? Yes. Okay. All right. I'm gonna share something with you, and this is really important because in Proverbs, I'm standing. I need to sit. I can stand. I can stand in the Lord. Proverbs really speaks clearly about what does it mean to be masculine, and what does it mean to be feminine. And go with this for just a little bit, okay? And I know, look at in today, it's 2024, and gender philosophy is, who knows? But I'm going to tell you truth. You ready for truth? God's truth. Not my truth, God's truth. To be masculine is to be the initiator. The man is the leader in being the initiator and saying, I want to take a dance with you. I want to go out with you. Will you marry me? Will you come with me and let's build a family together? Okay? Initiation. Always.
Women, do we love a man who initiates? Yes. Isn't it a turn on when he initiates? Yes.
Okay. Women. Proverbs clearly says a woman is a responder. She responds to the initiation. Okay? So she does extend the hand and say, yes, I will take that dance with you. Yes, I will go on that date with you. Yes, I will marry you. She responds. That's what God's created in her, is a response to strength and masculine energy that does not lord it over her, but is there to protect. Okay? Now, here's where things get fouled up.
Once we get married,
the man says, I'm not hungry anymore.
I pursued you. I have you.
I'm going to sit on the couch and watch football. You want me to do what? Nah, I'm good.
And the wife tolerates it for a little bit.
So nature abhors a vacuum.
Yep.
So who's got to initiate now? Because the man's taking the back seat.
The wife
The
starts
woman.
initiating.
The woman initiates. Is it her role to initiate? No. Does she do so with graciousness and strength? No.
In the beginning.
No, she does not.
But then it gets old. Because we married a man that we thought was going to initiate and pursue us.
She does so with bitterness because it's not her job. It's not, do you hear that, men? It's not her job. This isn't being recorded, is it? Just for us, right? But tell me this right now. When you ever see a woman who wears the pants in the family, that's upside down. And she doesn't do that graciously. She does that with bitterness. And we see it all the time because she's like, you were the one who initiated. And now you've just taken a back seat. You've abdicated your throne, given it to me, and it's not mine. And so this is where I kind of go like, husbands, this is breaks God's heart, was when he sees unmasculine men who are lazy, who do not take strength into their family and say, I want to lead by serving. By serving. And again, I'm saying I could probably say that 5 years ago without worrying about anything, but now We don't know, like our society's like, what's a woman? I don't know what a woman is. It's like, now, I know you guys are mainly from Nigeria, so I get this, that this is probably like you've been dropped into like this like alien planet, like what's going on with everybody around here? But having been raised in American culture and society, I literally, like, it's kind of like this warm soup that's just been slowly warming, and now people are like walking around like, what's a woman? I don't know what a woman is. I'm like, you don't know what a woman is? Come on. Sorry. I just want to say that. So
Does that make sense, though, about the initiator and the receiver?
You're not going to cancel me now, right? Okay.
So I want to say, I think in marriage, both spouses should be making effort. It's the effort in how you show up, though, is what you were saying. Yeah, it's great.
Do you want to add anything to that?
No, it was awesome. Okay. All right. I shared this yesterday with someone I met with one-on-one, a single gal, and she was like, wow, my mind is blown. I'm like, I probably should have shared that with everybody. Okay, dating apps. How do dating apps make money? If you stay on their app. Okay, so the second you find a partner, they just lost you as business. And if you find the partner on the dating app, which that's why you're on it, then they lost 2 people. So we had a whistleblower that we worked for many years ago who was working on his own marriage, who quit one of the dating apps because he said, morally, I couldn't work there because all their job is to match you enough to get somebody, but to also keep you around the app as long as they can to make money off of you. So I'm going to say this. I'm not saying that dating apps are bad, by the way. I do believe, though, that one of the best places to meet someone is at church. I do believe that. I'm not saying to go to church to meet someone.
That are Christian millionaires.
ChristianMillionaires.com. Is that a thing? No, I don't think so.
HumbleandHungrySpouses.com.
But this is really important. When you say you're finding the wrong people, my recommendation would be is, first off, know your values. Your values, because if you're both going to church, you both value the same things. I mean, you might have some differences. Casey and I are very different, okay? Just to clarify. But the values actually are what come to play. You want to date someone who loves God like you do. If you value family, you want to marry and date someone, right, who values family. If honesty is something, or hard work, or I don't know, we all have our own values, okay? But I would also say, where are you looking for these people? And people on a dating app or on Instagram, they're gonna put their best foot forward. That's not the real, unfortunately, like it's sad. And then there's a lot of people, sorry, I'm gonna be gender specific here, but men, they're on dating apps to hook up. They want casual dating. And if that's not what you want, which that sounds like that's not what you want, then maybe, and I don't even know if you're on a dating app, but get off the dating app, come to church, be part of community, and you are gonna have to put yourself out there. But never settle. Especially when it comes to someone's relationship with Jesus Christ. Because that is something that,
Yep, it's good.
Never. I married a man who loves God 1,000,000 more times than he will ever love me. And I'm so glad for that. Because I don't have to convict him. The Holy Spirit convicts him. It's like, that's my prayer is like, Jesus, you speak to him, right? You need to tell him that he's doing this wrong. I hope that answered it. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Ooh.
I'm going to make this really quick. There is no tolerance for physical abuse. 0. Now, I want to share something. So my mom was actually physically abusive to my father. So this is not just male to female. I want to clarify, and men feel very embarrassed on the other side that like, I'm this dude and I'm getting beat, but like we've seen it with both men and women, okay? There is a 0 tolerance. And what happens is, it doesn't mean the marriage is over, by the way. You have to have a boundary. You leave or you change the locks, do whatever you need to do. You come to someone at church. I'm sure there's people that will figure out a way, because you cannot stay in the same home. Absolutely not. And then you say, we are going to go to counseling, or we're going to meet with pastors, or we're going to see Marriage 365 coaches. And these are the rules that we have to follow in order to talk about reconciliation. So there needs to be separation. And we have in our app a video called 5 Tips for Healthy Separation.
And I want
to guide you back to a healthy marriage.
And I want to say any form of abuse is an outburst of anger. Anger stems from Hurt people. That's right. So this person does not know how to control themselves, and there is a deeper hurt. The abuser there's something going on inside, and
you weren't excusing the behavior, by the way, to say that. It's just the explanation behind it.
Yeah, that needs to be dealt with in a professional way.
Yeah, and you can't be that person. They need a professional to help them to figure out why they're resorting to physical abuse or emotional abuse if it's emotional abuse too.
Oh.
Okay, I love that. And there is hope, by the way. Okay, so we have some 4 things that you should do once you get divorced. So first off, be single for at least a year. You have to realize, if you jump from relationship to relationship to relationship, you've never had that time to heal and process and go why did my marriage fail, right? It's trauma. Divorce is trauma. You need to heal from that trauma, right? And again, if you want to make a better marriage, make a better you want to go into that next relationship healthy. You don't want to come in with all this baggage, right? Okay, so step 1 is be single for at least a year. Yeah. Number 2 is forgive your ex. If you do not forgive your ex-spouse, you will bring that resentment and that bitterness into any dating relationship, possible marriage relationship. Does that make sense? Whether they ask for your forgiveness or not, forgiveness is for you. You have to forgive them. And that's why second marriages fail even more than first marriages, is because it's the baggage that wasn't dealt with that just comes out in really funky ways. And then we would say too, go to therapy or meet with a coach, meet with a mentor to help you process that and generally say why did I divorce? And be honest with yourself, because one of the things you want to do is the 4th thing is hopefully you'll experience this in therapy, or if you work with one of us or one of the people on our staff, is did you miss red flags? Did you not make effort? Did you allow your spouse for years to break boundaries? What was your part? I'm not saying it was necessarily all your fault, but in a marriage there's 2 people. And there's a lot of people who miss red flags and they go back and they go, I saw it when we were dating, but I ignored it. Own it and go, but I'm not going to do that this second time around. So figure out what was your part and what did you do as a spouse, not just put all the blame on your ex. Yeah.
If you can tell, a lot of our advice is, and this is actually a mission stated within our team at Marriage 365. By the way, there's like 20 people behind our Marriage 365 making all this stuff work. And we talk about this every single week. Our mission is to help people become the healthiest versions of themselves so that they can experience true connection inside of relationships. Whether you're single, healthiest version. Married, healthiest version. Divorced, healthiest version, so that you can experience true connection. And that's why I'm very passionate, of course, because the pathway to become the healthiest version of yourself is 1, hungry, and 2, humble. That's right. Okay.
Oh, well, that's not good. Yeah.
So,
separation isn't divorce.
And separation is not openness to other relationships.
Yeah. That's why we have that video, 5 Tips for Healthy Separation, because I think people think oh, well, we're moving towards divorce. Separation's actually supposed to be a restart for your marriage. Did you know that? If you're already done with the marriage, don't say, let's separate. Say, I'm going to divorce, because that confuses the spouse who wants to work on the marriage. You can't convince your spouse, unfortunately, to stay married. And so in this season, I would watch our video, 5 Tips for Healthy Separation, and then I would just pour into yourself, create really healthy boundaries. Don't allow the spouse that's kind of, it sounds like they're breaking boundaries and you don't really know the extent. You don't ever want to choke someone or force someone to come back to the marriage. You really don't. You want it to be on them wanting to that. You can't make someone be hungry and humble. You can try. Again, I've tried. It doesn't work. And so in this season, and I'm so sorry for you because it's just so painful when you're the one, you're like, I'm living out my vows. They're not. Again, the goal would be that as you change, you become healthy. Hopefully that would be an influence to them.
And I will tell you, people go crazy in relationships, especially if that's not been clear that you've moved on. We've had our own story touched really close to us that where a spouse had started dating somebody. They weren't fully divorced. They had 4 kids. And that partner went crazy.
Yeah.
And it was done the wrong way. So when it comes to divorce, like if that's going to be final, that's your decision, then it needs to be final, and it's not.
We have extensive training in affair recovery, and it's interesting because if you start a relationship as an affair, or like even when you're not divorced, you have a 3% chance of making it. So, but people think, because it's fantasy affairs, right?
No. People think that they can disobey God's laws of nature.
Yes.
And that they're going to reap a reward.
Yeah, but people think in that moment that they're going to make it, and it's the grass is greener on the other side, is what I hear from the spouse. So the grass is green where you water it.
Okay. How do we reroute Christian youths back to handling relationships with the fear, love of God, in terms of waiting after marriage, prayer life, etc.?
You model it.
Ooh.
We have a preteen and a teenager. Our daughter is in her first relationship. They're coming up to a year. It's healthy. They're staying pure. They're thriving, and they're 16. And they're
yes.
And they're 16.
As a father, I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
And I'm not saying that we've done everything perfect, because we have not. But our children know obviously what we do for a living, and they're.
And we have healthy talks about sex at home too.
Yes, we talk about. You can imagine, your parents are helping marriages. Our poor kids are like, don't ask my friends about their relationships, Mom. But you know what though? Our daughter's friends, they start asking me questions because they can't go to their parents. And you want your kids to go to you because you're the healthy, safe people in their lives. You don't want them going to TikTok, you don't want them going to Google, and you don't want to ask their random teacher at school that is not a believer in Jesus, because they're going to get really bad advice. And so I believe with my whole heart it starts in the home. That's how you get your youth, and you model it and you talk about it. And even if you and your spouse mess up, oh, you guys, it's such a beautiful opportunity to come with humility and say, Mom and Dad, we haven't been great, but we love each other, here's what we're doing.
I have apologized to my daughter many, many times, and my son, because of mistakes that I've made. And I will tell you that children do not do what we tell them to do. Can I get an amen? Amen. Children do what they see us doing. Okay? For some of you that you're like, all right. Some of you are like, crap.
That's okay. The cool thing about children is that they're very forgiving.
Yeah.
Very forgiving. And if you go to them and you apologize, how many of you would love it if your parent came up to you today and gave you an apology and said, I am so sorry? Whoa. Right?
Come on.
It's
Come
never,
on. I know it. You would love it.
And you know why?
Love it.
It's never too late to apologize.
Oh my gosh. So listen,
Never too late.
I'm going to tell you right now, our children need healthy models and examples, and it takes a tribe. It takes a village. And that's why healthy community here at church.
Yeah, I was going to say, our youth group, our kids are plugged into the youth group. You guys have an amazing youth ministry, and our kids are thriving in that.
So I'll end with this on this question. Is I opened up on Friday night and I talked about how our marriage is a beautiful reflection of God's love for us, His tenderness, his wanting, His friendship, His laughter. Married people, do you laugh in your marriage? Are you playful? Men, are you flirtatious with your wife? Do you compliment your wife? Because our kids are watching. And what I said is this, is your marriage, what kind of reflection is your marriage? If your kids, we want our kids to chase after God's heart. They need to see it reflected in our marriage.
All right, this is our last question, right? Okay.
Oh boy.
I'm going to tell you.
What? Somebody want to ask about communication? Come on.
Or in-laws? No? Okay.
No sex questions.
I'm surprised we didn't get, well, it is Sunday morning. I don't know. But I'm surprised
Sex
we
on
didn't get any
Sundays?
in-law questions. Because we are.
Hey, by the way, the Sabbath, I just want you to know, the Sabbath laws that were created, did you know that the men were instructed to have sex with their wives? Come on. So when you come home and you go, it's Sabbath, honey, right?
Somehow,
it is lawful for us.
On Sundays, there's the Sabbath, and it's blocked off all day on our calendar.
Wow.
Okay. Here's what I see with this question: a lack of boundaries, and then so for the partner who's being cheated on, And then for the partner who's saying, I'm going to change, I'm going to change, I'm going to change, a lack of plan and intentionality. So no, this is when you are not allowed to just go and cheat and cheat and cheat and cheat and make excuses and I want to change. At this point, what you've taught him is he can keep mistreating you and you'll take it. And you're worth so much more than that. You deserve so much better than that. We teach people how to treat us. So this is a lack of boundaries. We have a video all about boundaries of the opposite sex, but I would say at this point, you definitely need intervention. There's no more promising to change. The person who is the cheater, the betrayer, you have to have a plan on how you're going to figure out not to cheat, but there's a deeper issue here. Trust is foundational in marriage. We talked about this a lot yesterday. All trust has been broken in this marriage. So you need now a third-party intervention to really see if this is fixable or not. And unfortunately, with like one question like this, I don't have context or details, but I'm happy to help. You guys can reach out. So.
All right. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you.